Welcome, everybody, to Stranger Species. I'm your host, Mike Davis, here with the lovely Ethne Davis. What's up, baby?
Oh, you know.
I do know all. Well, actually, maybe I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good day.
It's a good day.
Mm-hmm. Good
We
day.
both finished
Big
projects.
projects.
Well, mine wasn't a project so much, but
Big things.
big things in life.
Mm-hmm.
What was your big thing that you are so grateful to be done with?
I make personalized calendars for several family members.
By several, you mean like a bunch?
Yeah. Like 8 of them, 9 of them. But I go back through the whole year and I actually put like last January on next year's January. So as you flip to January, you look back on the year of what you did last January. And I do that individualized and personalized for every person. So it's not like the same, 25 photos. It is like we're working with about 1,000 different photos.
It takes you a long time.
It takes me a very long time. Very, very long time. But I actually kind of love it because I get to reflect on the year too. And it's a really neat process. Normally I give myself much more time than I did this year. I think just with your project that just ended and just life, I'm just so far behind. So normally I definitely don't. This is way too crunch for me.
But you did it.
I did it. It was the best feeling ever.
Party.
So, yeah. How about you? What was your big thing?
Good. Finished the musical today. Last one. This was the longest run, to my knowledge, of any of the shows this theater's ever put on. Like the most shows.
Yeah, I mean,
ever.
I think you're right. Because it's not only the longest run, but then they've added in the double features for the Saturday. So yeah,
Right.
Even before it would have been one show less. Like for the last Christmas.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you've been working on it since September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it's good to be done too. Time to move on to the next thing, which is nothing for the little next foreseeable future.
There's lots of wrapping.
Well, that's true. But no, like big things of life.
No, I guess it's a little bit more chill.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm so grateful for next month.
But it was really good.
Yeah.
It was a good show. Today was a lot of fun. A lot of, you just make a lot of good friends. Have a good
It's like a
time.
little family.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So we had a good time today. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, that's the mystery.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, whatever you want me to talk about.
So I realize I probably haven't said this the last couple episodes. So if you're new and you haven't, and there's still a lot of new listeners all the time. The way this works is Ethne doesn't have any idea what we're going to talk about tonight. And we just start talking.
Mm-hmm.
She learns everything in real time with all of you.
Yes,
So,
it's true.
so today's story is one of the strangest that I've heard.
Oh,
So
I feel
it'll
like
be
we've
interesting to
done a
see
lot
if
of
you feel
strange
that,
things.
yeah, if that's true or not
Interesting.
for you.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about a guy by the name of Steven Kubacki.
Kubacki.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he grew up in Massachusetts,
Okay.
which is your favorite state to say.
Oh, yes. I'm very good at saying that
Yeah.
state.
And then he went to college in Holland, Michigan,
Okay.
a little town or a little college called Hope College. This is in 1978.
Okay.
Now, Stephen was majoring in history.
Okay.
He was extremely bright.
Okay.
Like he was one of those guys where his professors would say, yeah, this guy is not your average student. He stood out to them in class.
Not your average Joe.
Right. Or your average Steve.
Yeah.
He's
Neither him either.
no. He's an above and beyond Steve.
Mm.
So he was very, very intelligent, studying history. He was an avid outdoorsman.
Okay.
Now, he was also known to dabble in Dungeons and Dragons.
Ooh.
And back
The Mind
in
Flayer.
the Mind Flayer and the Demogorgon. I don't actually know if those are things.
If they're real?
I just know.
I assume they are, but
Stranger Things makes it seem like they are.
Yeah.
I've never played Dungeons and
We'll
Dragons.
have to have someone chime in if they are a fellow Dungeon and Dragoner and let us know if it's real.
But in the late 70s, that kind of put him on as a weird kid. So he was a little, I don't know. I don't think he was a weird kid. I think he just had a little bit different. Maybe he was kind of to himself. He loved the outdoors. He loved cross-country skiing. He loved running. He loved just kind of being out in nature, especially, well, maybe not especially in the cold, but he didn't mind the cold. In the summer he'd run, in the winter he would cross-country ski.
Gotcha.
Not a big deal. In 1976, so 2 years prior to our story, he had gone over to teach English in Germany.
To teach English in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there he met a girl, and he enjoyed it so much that he spent 18 months there.
Really?
Yeah. And there too, he hiked, he skied, he ran. Like, he just really got to love the outdoors life in Europe and in Germany. So
I want to go there someday.
Me too.
Yeah, I do. And your mom wants to.
Well, she's been many times.
She wants to go back to some market. Big. Oh. She told me just the other time I saw her. Some big Christmas German market.
That sounds
like,
fun.
I think famous. Like, I think if you know, kind of thing.
You and I don't know.
Yeah, right. So anyway, anyone out there that knows. So I was like, I want to go with you. Let's go. But I don't know if I want to go to the market because I think if it's a Christmas market, it's going to be in December. It's going to be cold. Like, I think I'd rather go when it's...
Maybe some of those ones kind of like Leavenworth, where it's...
Christmas all year long?
Right.
Maybe it's the market all the time. Yeah, right. I don't know. I really don't know.
Like they have the Nutcracker store year round, and they have the
Christmas store year round. I want to do that. Anyway.
So anyways, 1978, he comes back to the States. He re-enrolls in the winter semester at Hope College. And at this time, he is only 9 credits away from graduating.
Okay.
So he's very close. He's already got a job lined up.
So he'd be considered like a senior?
Yeah, he's like a senior. He's already got a job lined up. He liked to write.
Mm-hmm.
So he had a job lined up with a newspaper. So life was going good. No issues. So on February 18th, Steven leaves home and he's got some roommates to go cross-country skiing around Lake Michigan.
Ooh, that's a big...
I don't really think like all the way around.
Oh, okay.
So
I was like,
around.
That is a... Yeah.
You get it.
A path around the lake. Yes, by the lake.
That word's confusing in this context.
Well, for the size of that lake,
Lake Michigan
it would be like a week, 2 week, 3 week.
It'd be a busy cross-country skiing trip.
Yeah.
So he's going to, dabble around Lake Michigan, which is something he did all the time. This is not anything out of the ordinary. They'd actually had a monstrous storm just a few days before.
That dang lake effect snow.
Yeah, I wonder what their lake effect snow is like over there.
I don't know if that's a general term for the Great Lakes or if that's where we lived when we were there.
Yeah, so we used to live in Cleveland, and oh my goodness.
I think lake effect snow is a thing on all the lakes. I think.
I know there are some spots that, well, it's funny, because interesting thing. So I think we have some listeners in Cleveland. So Anthony's Canadian. You are very familiar with snow. You hated lake effect snow. Like, it's a different beast. Like, it's so sudden.
It's and heavy, and it's wet. Yeah. It's similar sometimes to our snowfalls here, though. Like that one that we just recently had. It happened all the time and in huge amounts.
Yeah, I'd go to school with no snow. I'd walk out after school and there'd be like 9 inches.
Yeah,
like, oh my goodness! So 2 hours you can't even out and drive home.
Mm-hmm.
And that was lame. But the Cleveland airport is in like Berea area on the west side of town, and it hardly gets any snow.
Right. I think it really depends on where you're at. I'm certain.
Right. But like Buffalo, New York, like suckiest suck ever. Like,
no, it's really a pretty.
Well, I'm just talking about the amount of lake effect snow they get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure Chicago. Like I'm sure.
But I don't know if Chicago gets lake effect snow, or just massive amounts of wind. Because it's on Lake Michigan.
I know it is.
I mean, it gets snow, obviously.
Yeah, but then I know like the other lake that goes in the Ontario side, not Lake Ontario, I don't think.
I don't know if it's Huron or I don't know.
Yeah, but I think they get some too on the Canadian side. So anyway, it's just a terrible beast. But okay, so they had just had a big dump. Yeah. Okay.
So he takes off to go cross country skiing. And he doesn't come home. Now, it's not his roommate's not terribly nervous day one. Like, he's goes out all the time in the woods and whatever, you know. Plus, you're college kids. Like, your roommate doesn't come home one night. Like, big deal, right?
Right.
But 2 days later, some snowmobilers find an interesting thing next to the lake. They find a set of cross-country skis laying down parallel to each other. So it's not like a collision, you know, they're laid down nicely. There's a backpack sitting on top of them, and then a ski pole on either side of the backpack stuck in the snow. So very deliberately. Yeah,
he would have had to unclip himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not somebody who was in an accident and got up and left or whatever. And then there are footprints heading out onto the lake, like walking on the frozen lake.
Ooh,
and so they call the police.
Sketchy.
They can't find anybody. Mm-hmm. They actually follow the footprints out. The snowmobilers do, and they just stop, and then there's no footprints back, and they can't find them going anywhere else.
Is there a crack or a hole in the ice?
There's not a hole or anything in the ice, and we'll get to that in a second. So they called the police. Once that's been reported, the roommate's like, oh yeah, he's been gone for 2 days. I haven't heard from him. So then they do a full
and that's not
search.
Quite the time for like real cell phones yet. So
right,
it's too early for
too early for even fake cell phones.
Well, I bet Japan had them at that time.
Yeah, that's probably
so. But I meant here.
That is probably true. They're always like 15 years ahead.
Yeah, they've got some really cool. I mean, in 2000 when I lived there, they had the coolest phones ever. And that was
like cooler than your phone you have now still.
Yeah, probably. Oh, for sure. So anyway, I mean, I don't know what their phones look like now, but
yeah, I remember lots of cool stuff when we were over there.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty amazing.
Those bullet trains, man.
Oh yeah, so
wild.
Fun.
Like to be going that fast and that smooth.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It was
amazing.
a trip. Literally, we were on a trip, but it was a mental trip too.
Yeah.
So they form a huge search party. All the things that one would use in a search party, but they can't find any sign of him. So the police just assume that he's fallen into the lake and drowned.
Yeah, that's what I would assume.
Seems like the logical assumption. Now, I have a hard time visualizing this, and one of the things that I was reading or listening to, I don't know what, they were talking about, Lake Michigan's so large, you have these big waves and swells on it. And so it's not like your pond in the backyard or your community lake when it freezes. Like these waves will kind of quasi-freeze and then break and then refreeze.
I'm even surprised that you would even want to, because they cannot freeze all the way across.
Right.
So it's so weird that he would even want to go on the ice at all.
But it sounds like it's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, maybe if you hover close to the edge and just for kicks and giggles, but it doesn't sound like a very smart idea at all. But
yeah. So anyways, the police, I guess what I'm saying is it's not like what you would think like, oh, there's footprints. Now there's a hole in the ice and this is where he fell through. It's kind of this landscape of never ending, changing, ice and rivets and way like it. Yeah.
It's not like a flat. Yeah.
It's very easy to lose someone and you would never know where they went in. Or even if they went in, that it would be a very different looking topography 2 days later.
Oh, interesting.
Than when they went in.
Okay.
My understanding. No expert in Lake Erie ice.
Okay. Lake Michigan.
Or Lake Michigan. Any of the Great Lakes, really. Or any body of water.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not an ice expert. So, police assume, sorry guys, he's drowned. Now his brother, his family's in Massachusetts, they come out. His brother just thinks this is super weird. He's like, there's no way he'd leave his backpack like that. Like, he's a very seasoned outdoorsman. His backpack's got all of his, his compass, his stuff. Like, he would take his skis off. That makes sense. But he would never leave his backpack unless he was going like just a couple feet. But he walked, 200 feet out. Like, he's like, that doesn't make any sense. So his family just felt, something's not right with this. So in the spring, once everything is melted, they resume the search looking for her body. Still can't find anything. Interesting side note, the police even sent his dental records to Chicago to see if Steven was one of the victims of John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, because that was happening then?
Yeah. They caught him. They had all these bodies.
Interesting.
Yeah. Talk about crazy clowns.
Don't want to talk about them.
Okay. But if you want to talk about them, we have an episode on crazy clowns.
We do.
Not specifically serial killers like John Wayne Gacy.
No, mostly just like the invasion of clowns.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, actually, side note. Sorry. Just like 2 weeks ago, here in Spokane, we had someone rob a store dressed as a clown.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You
sent
told
you
me
that
that. Yeah,
article.
you did.
So I guess there's still morons out there doing that.
I mean, it's a good disguise. So
is it? Because it kind of is the opposite of a disguise.
Well, they can't tell who you are.
No, but you definitely stand out.
Well, you get a lot of attention.
Yes.
But, it's still a disguise.
But I guess if you're dressed like Chuckles the Clown or something, yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's not like a balaclava or whatever. So
Yeah. But he wasn't killed by John Wayne Gacy.
Okay.
He was not one of those victims. No, the family still didn't believe he was dead.
Okay,
And
interesting.
so they go in June, they hire a private detective
Oh, wow.
to come and investigate to see, is there foul play? Is there something else going on?
Yeah.
And again, they just can't imagine Steven would leave his gear on the shore like that.
Yeah, that's weird.
So what do you think so far? Like, obviously,
I mean, I think the obvious thing is that he fell into the water. But if let's say you're trying to escape the pressures of life or something, or I don't know, maybe you want to make it look that way, and then you just go back to Germany and just find yourself in Germany and avoiding your future job that maybe you decided, I don't know, you had like a midlife crisis.
So that's a good point. So some of his family thought that's exactly what he had done.
Like faked
Did he, bail? Like,
But
midlife crisis, not midlife crisis, but like,
Right.
okay, I'm about to graduate. Real life's going to start.
Yeah. And just like scared of whatever that looked like.
I enjoyed goofing off in Europe,
Yeah.
but you can't fake your way onto a plane internationally. And so it was pretty easy to look up.
Oh, right.
and
His
there was
records.
no,
Well, can't you take a boat?
maybe, I don't know. I would still think he would need to have a passport when he landed.
Yeah, I would
I
assume.
don't know in 1978.
Yeah,
how
but it wasn't that long
strict
ago.
things
But
are.
anyway, yeah, I don't know
But that was something they thought of, and they couldn't find any record
any
of him.
information of that. Okay,
But that's a good thought.
I'm
And
a
so-
detective.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the obvious is he drowned, but that would make for a really boring podcast.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So we know he didn't drown. We think he didn't drown, but what happened?
Dun 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 dun.
We don't know. So this is in February 1978.
That this happened.
When he went missing.
Yeah.
Now we're going to fast forward. May 5th, 1979.
So like a year and
14,
a bit.
15 months later. Okay. A man wakes up on a grassy knoll in Pittsfield, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He just kind of wakes up and he looks around. He has no idea where he is.
Grassy knoll.
No idea how he got there. He looks down at his clothes. No idea what he's wearing. Doesn't recognize the clothes. He's got a t-shirt on that is from a marathon in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Doesn't know anything about this marathon, but he's got a backpack sitting next to him. So he opens the backpack. There's a pair of glasses. There are some more clothes. There are a pile of maps including a map of San Francisco, a map of Sacramento, a map of Reno, and a map of Chicago. Doesn't have any idea what these maps are about.
So weird.
Doesn't know where he is. Doesn't even know who he is. Just is like, oh, what is this? So he assumes these things are his, but he doesn't know where he got them. So he wanders around for a bit, gets up, he's walking around Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and he asks someone where he is, and they tell him. And he goes and he sees the newspaper, and he sees the date. And then a flood of memories come back. And he is Steven Kubacki. And the last thing he remembers is cold, darkness, and being afraid.
Okay.
And all of a sudden now, he has no memory of where he has been for the last year.
But his family is from Massachusetts or whatever. So how far away is this place from like where he grew up?
I don't know.
Okay. This is strange.
Yeah.
So he knew his name.
He knew, yep. Like
it
once he
all
saw
came...
that date, everything kind of came rushing back like,
so
oh,
strange.
I'm Steven, but I don't know how I got here. I don't know what I'm wearing.
Maybe he lived like a whole nother life. Like he had a mental, I don't know, and like was a different person or something. Because like, why would he have this background? Maybe he's a scientific experiment.
Maybe
the government
CIA
took him.
experiment.
It's again like Stranger Things.
Exactly like Stranger Things.
Maybe he's got special powers.
So what would you be thinking if that was you?
Oh, I'd be freaking out.
Legitimately. Can you really
Legitimately.
Imagine?
No.
Like you're just like, it's like time travel. I mean, not really. Obviously, you're not traveling time, but like mentally, it's like time travel.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, wait a second. All of a sudden, it's a year and a bit later. Like,
but how does this...
Almost a year and a half later.
I mean, is he in good health?
He is in good health.
Okay, this is the weirdest. Yeah, so he would... I'm trying to think here. For 15 months, his body is working fine. He couldn't have been like... I mean, I think if you were in like a coma or something weird, your muscles would degenerate. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? And someone would have...
How in the world would you get in a grassy field?
Right. I'm just trying to think of what his physical state would be like if he was in some sort of comatose state. So he would have to be hooked up to IVs and blah, blah, blah. So then I'm like, okay, can you be two different people?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Like some sort of weird...
Like something snaps and all
like
of a sudden...
neuron phenomenon or something. Yes, he literally like all of a sudden just like decided to live this different life and then something... I don't know.
But here's the interesting thing. There's no footprints off the lake. Like the police report, like there's set out.
So are you claiming an abduction?
I'm not claiming abduction. No, I wouldn't. My guess is he still fell in the lake.
What? And then someone rescued him and kept him alive, but he has no memory of it?
Or he got himself out somehow and has no memory of it.
What?
Like his brain went into some kind of survival mode.
But where would he have gone? I mean, how would he have gone? There would have been evidence along the edges of the lake that he got himself out.
But remember, like I said, the lake is like constantly changing. It's not your typical hole in a lake.
Sure, but when you get to land, you're going to have, I mean, there's going to be footprints, especially if you hired like a private investigator.
True. Well, the private investigator's not there until summertime, right? So like footprints are long gone by then. Mm-hmm. And there's snowmobilers, there's people hiking all over. I'm sure there's footprints everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But he would have still had his cross-country ski boots on.
Yeah, and I've never cross-country skied. Are they like normal ski boots, kind of?
I mean, they're similar. Mm-hmm. Their attachment is a little bit different, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
So super uncomfortable to
Super
walk
uncomfortable. You could not get
bend your ankles.
No, I mean, I can't even imagine trying to swim in those things. But then again, if he did fall in and then he tried to get them off.
There's no way you're getting those off in the water. If they're anything like ski boots. I have a hard time getting them off sitting on my truck.
Yeah, I mean, they are like, they are a ski boot. Yeah. I mean, just think of them the same way. So, I don't know. I really don't know. The whole thing is very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these things with you, right? These maps from...
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking
you're
is like...
in Massachusetts on the East Coast. You live in the Midwest. You've got maps from California, the West, as far away as you can get in the United States in your backpack.
I almost wonder if like someone was like using him...
Did he get drugged? Yeah, and taken somewhere?
Yeah, as like a decoy maybe.
And then they just, to throw off all trails, they just dump him there with all this crap that is just to throw people off.
So is this an unsolved mystery? Or are you going to help me get to an answer?
We're going to help you get somewhere.
Okay, good. Is it going to make me feel good? Like, am I going to be happy with the answer?
It doesn't end up getting like tortured to death or anything.
Is there going to be closure?
I'm
not asking if he's going to get tortured.
I don't know if there'll be closure.
Okay. Is this like watching Lost?
I loved Lost.
I liked Lost.
One of the guys, I was talking about Lost with one of the guys in the play with me, and he also loved the ending.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really end it any other way. I accept that. It's still just... There were still so many unanswered questions.
There were a lot of unanswered questions. And I would have liked some of them answered.
There was zero closure.
But there was zero way you could ever
answer them. I get
and
that.
And not be like, that was the stupidest thing ever.
But that's what annoys me. So I just...
It's like every scary movie should end...
Without any closure?
Yes.
Okay.
Before they show you whatever the thing is, they should just end it there. Because
and then
as
you're
soon as
always
they show
wondering...
you, it's like, oh my goodness, that was stupid. That ruined it.
Okay, let's not go down the tangent. I've heard this one before.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Okay, it is. Yep.
So yeah, you gotta be thinking to yourself, what's my family been thinking? What have I been doing all these years? What's all this crap I have with me?
But then if you're spotty for the last year and a bit, but literally everything just comes rushing back to him. There's no glitches in his memory and recall. Like that is just...
That's the story.
Bizarre. Okay. All right.
So he decides that he's not going to immediately call his family. He goes and he sits on a park bench and he just sits there for a few hours. Just kind of taking it all in. And he's worried about their reactions.
What t-shirt did he have on again?
A Wisconsin Marathon.
So, but did he go to school in Wisconsin?
Nope.
Yeah, like
no ties to Wisconsin whatsoever.
This is the weirdest. This is someone doing a science experiment.
You already said that.
Did I?
Yeah.
But like...
The government.
No. This is like testing the... I don't know. It just seems too fishy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then again, it's like, did I run this marathon or did I buy this at Goodwill? Because I have no money because I've been hitchhiking around the country for the last year and a half.
And I have no recollection of it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But it was clean. His clothes were like in good shape. So he also realizes, though, during this meditative bench sitting, that he's only about 20 minutes away or 20 miles from where his aunt lives. He's 8 aunts. So he decides, I'm not going to call my parents. I'm going to go to my aunt's house.
That's weirder.
Like, I'm going to break the ice.
With my aunt?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So he hitchhikes to his aunt's house. He catches a ride. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. And he approaches his aunt's house, and his aunt's not home, but she's like across the street at the neighbor's house. And so she's sitting at the neighbor's house, seeing this guy walking up to her house and be like, oh, there's someone going up to my house. And as he approaches, she realizes, oh my goodness, that's my dead nephew. Well, I thought he was dead. He's been missing for almost a year and a half. That would be a trip.
Yeah. Like a total trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just freak out.
And so anyways, she runs over. They reunite. He calls his parents. They're thrilled. They come out. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone's happy. Like, yay, you're not dead.
That's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well, his parents never believed he was dead, which I guess is cool.
Like in your gut.
But I don't know if that's just denial.
No, I think sometimes you just feel something. Okay.
So, but the big question is, so what happened to him? And where have you been for the last 14 months? The interesting thing is, so Steven Kubacki, he's still alive today. He's in his late 60s. He gave a couple interviews right away, but pretty much hasn't talked about it since then. It doesn't talk about it. And maybe there's a few different theories for that. At first he was very determined, like, I want to, like, he was adamant that he wouldn't see a psychiatrist, but he was willing to undergo hypnosis to see if he could recall some of those lost memories. I don't think he ever did. That was like the initial. And then pretty quickly he was like, you know what? I don't know what happened. I'm not going to. And maybe there's some closure to that if you know you can never figure it out, just to say, I'm done thinking about this. I'm just moving on with my life. I don't know. I've never lost 14 months of time.
Yeah, that's wild.
And so his theory, and it is known that in cases of extreme cold can cause amnesia, but generally speaking, it's very short-term amnesia.
Yeah.
Not like a year and a half amnesia. But that's his theory.
But also the weirder part is, like, even if it causes amnesia, people in this country are going to notice him. Mm-hmm. Like, when you make it to the news and you're a missing person and there's search parties for you, I feel like, I don't know. It just...
I mean, you're right. In today's day, much different. In 1978, there's no internet. Very locally, that might be true. But if somehow you got out of town pretty fast, no one in California is going to know who you are.
Yeah.
Or in Utah or...
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. The whole thing is just...
So he says that he remembers walking out on the ice and looking at all of the neat geometric patterns in the ice. Mm-hmm. And then the last thing he remembers is, like I said, darkness and cold. Now, I don't know if that means he fell in, or I don't know if that means...
he was abducted.
Well, I've been thinking that. Just, it was cold outside and it was dark, and, you know, I was just walking the dog in the forest. It was dark and cold. Like, by definition, that's dark and cold, you know?
Right.
Or it's dark and cold, like I fell into freezing water, dark and cold.
Yeah.
Or, like maybe you think an alien spaceship was dark and cold. I would like to think alien spaceships are have a good temperature, are fairly warm.
Warm and fuzzy?
No, just, room temperature.
Yeah. Comfortable.
Yeah, comfy. Yeah. They want you comfy when they probe you.
Yeah, totally.
I would think.
Yeah. I mean, Eva, she can grow a plant in her belly or keep a plant alive. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Again, I have no experience of abducting anyone and probing them. So I'm not sure what the protocols are.
Super glad about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's just some weird stuff that doesn't add up, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of it. He's got this backpack full of stuff. We don't know if that stuff's actually his stuff.
Right.
He has on this marathon shirt. Mm-hmm. Now, could it be that he has been hitchhiking and running without knowing who he was? He did say when he came back to life or whatever, realization, that he felt like he had been running a lot. Like his body was
tired.
Just different, like if you're a runner and it's off season compared to a runner where you're running 6-7 miles a day on season, like your body's just different, You're a little thinner, you're a little leaner, or whatever. And he felt like, he said this, like, I feel like I've been running a lot.
Interesting.
But this can go into a lot of theories. It could go into well, maybe you're just thin because you've been like not eating much because who knows what you've been doing. Mm-hmm. Maybe he just said this because maybe he did want to really run away and was gone for a while and then realized, okay, I really need to go back to life and just get on with life.
Oh, maybe.
And so they're going to make up this running thing, but really he has been running to deal with stress the whole time he's been gone,
I guess that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah. There were some people who, well, I'll come back to that in a second, I think. Yeah. So remember how I said he hitchhiked
Mm-hmm.
from Pittsfield 20 miles to wherever
To his aunt's house. Mm-hmm.
So the guy who picked him up later came out and talked about it.
Oh.
And he said that when he picked him up, Steven said his name was Nathan. And so there have been reporters, investigators who have gone back and looked at. So back in 1978, there was only one marathon in Wisconsin. And they've gone and looked at the rolls.
To see if there was a Nathan?
And there was no Steven Kubacki or any Nathan that ran 1978 Wisconsin Marathon.
Weird. Why did he say his own? Like, why didn't he just say his own name?
Well, maybe he didn't know that was his name. Well, that's true. At that point, that's a really good point because he's already come to, right?
Yeah.
So here's a crazy thought. So you're Steven Kubacki, 1978 in Michigan. Then let's say you really do have amnesia. And for some reason you decide your name is Nathan. And you hitchhike out to California. And you live a year in California doing whatever.
Where do you sleep?
Who knows?
Is
he working on a farm? Is he...
This is the weirdest thing. Okay, keep going. I just can't. Like, my whole brain is just reeling through all this stuff. Okay.
So let's say you tell everyone in California your name's Nathan. And you actually establish relationships there. You know, you have friends. What if you have a girlfriend? Whatever. And then you leave and you get jolted back to Steven Kubacki. Do you think there's in California a group of people who have a missing report for Nathan?
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't even really exist? Nor would you ever know because mentally...
Yeah.
Mind trip.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
I know, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy because a lot happens in 15 months.
Yeah.
16 months, whatever it was.
14, 15, yeah.
I mean, a lot.
A lot. What was I doing 15 months ago?
Gosh.
Not this podcast.
Nope. Not this podcast.
Didn't have any kitties. I don't know what.
What would 15 months ago be from December? So December, November, October. Oaksy had never broken his arm.
Yeah. Our son nastily broke his arm on the 26th of December last year. Like nasty. Total noodle arm.
It was
flopping around
like
like
emergency
a fish.
surgery. It was awesome.
It was emergency surgery. Yeah, that hadn't happened. You're right. So anyways, yeah, did he live a whole life under this pseudonym? Did he really not establish anything? He was making names left and right. Was he never even really gone?
This is seriously the craziest thing.
That is. Want to hear something even crazier?
I don't know if I do. Okay, keep going.
So, while he was gone,
Mm-hmm.
not his family, but a family friend kept getting phone calls from an anonymous person saying they knew how to get in contact with Steven. Ethne has a disgruntled face on right now.
I mean, do you think it was Steven making the phone call?
I don't know. So, check this out. So the anonymous phone caller gave them a phone number to call.
Okay.
To get in touch with Steven. But when they called it, it was disconnected. So Steven's mother, this is a pretty smart move, went back and pulled all of her phone bills and went through call by call looking for this number that was disconnected. And she found the number. And it was a number that Steven had called her from in the past.
What?
Yeah.
But like, from where?
Well, she didn't know. She just knows this is a number that he'd used before. I assume from Hope, Michigan. Not Hope, Michigan. Holland, Michigan, where Hope University was.
I'm so perplexed.
Yeah. So
like stumped.
So the police investigated the number, but could never find anything with it. And all of that whole bit of the story in the police report that has been released to the public is redacted.
Redacted meaning they took
names,
it back?
The phone. If you read it, they're like all blacked out. You know, like so you can't see what exactly.
Why?
I don't know.
Does that seem strange?
I mean, it seems strange. I think they redact a lot of things in a lot of reports. But I don't know what the purpose of that was. Someone put a theory out there, and I've never really thought much about it. And so I'm going to try to say it, but I hope I don't mess it up. So someone thought, like, well, maybe Steven, so he's kind of this outsider, right?
Outsider, like he likes to be outside?
No, just he's really, really smart.
Okay.
He's into, like I said, like Dungeons and Dragons. Not that it's weird to be into Dungeons and Dragons, but back then it was kind of a fringe thing, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Like those guys are weird, you know, they do their Dungeons and Dragons thing. And he was very, very intelligent. He was a little anti-establishment. Like he wrote a lot of papers that were kind of,
okay,
you know, not anarchist, but just against the system some and stuff. So what if he's got like this separate hideout thing? I don't even know what you want to call it. Place where these guys go. Clubhouse, you know, somewhere. And that's that no one really knows about. Like his parents don't know about it or anything, you know? And he's called maybe just by chance from there once. And so someone else is like, oh, he's not missing. Like he's just probably like over there just getting away from everything. So if you want to get a hold of him, like here's the phone number, you get a hold of him.
I think that's weird.
Well, super weird. But this whole story is weird. But then again, it's disconnected. And then even if that was the case, why are you calling a friend and not the family?
Yeah.
And why are you unanimous?
Yeah.
So maybe he's in some kind of like cult.
Maybe. And then he escaped from the cult and had to act like he didn't know how he got there?
Maybe he was in a cult in California. I don't know.
The whole thing is like just messing with my brain.
I know. So, again, his theory was amnesia.
I mean, I guess if you chalk it up that way, then nobody can really ask you too many questions and you can't.
You can always just say, I don't remember.
Yeah, but I wonder if almost it was traumatic and he doesn't want to talk about it.
And that would be valid if that's true. That's his conclusion of what happened. I think, in my opinion,
like a traumatic amnesia?
No, I think he just was having like a mental break and was like, I got to just get out of here and fake the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then didn't know how to get back into life, but came a point after a year or whatever, it was like, okay, I'm ready to
accept life or just.
But how do I
enter? Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to go lay in a hill and pretend like I, you know, especially if you really did like fake your death.
Right.
You want everyone to think you were dead.
You have to.
And now all of a sudden you're like, oh.
You're like, actually, this is kind of lonely and I kind of miss my family.
Yeah, because things were good. He had this good job. His dad had already not willed him, but was going to sign over their house to him.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, he had things going for him, but maybe just the stress of having to be an adult got to him. I don't know.
I mean, being an adult is
so overrated, but I actually really like it compared to being a child.
Oh, I liked being a kid.
No, I like being a grown-up more. So that's my theory. I think he totally just, whether he made up the whole Wisconsin thing in the maps just to throw people off to make the amnesia story better, or maybe he really did go do all these things, you know? He went out west, went and hit casinos in Reno and hung out in the Bay Area. And
I mean, I guess if you're trying to avoid real life and people, you wouldn't probably want to go as far away as you could. So it kind of makes sense to go over there. Yeah. It's sort of weird.
Yeah. There is the theory out there, that he got kidnapped, but for what purpose? Why would you let him go? How would you not remember any of it? Like, it just seems...
Yeah, unless it was like some sort of, like I said, like an experiment or something on the brain and how it works. And this is a very unethical, unorthodox science experiment.
Which we could... There's a number of them in the 70s.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about some at some point.
Like my grandpa's lobotomy.
Not that specifically, but like that.
No,
yeah.
I know. I didn't mean like his specific one, but yeah.
Other ones, I mean, just we have to be fair. There's definitely a contingency that believes it was aliens.
I mean,
And if you're into aliens, yeah, it would make total sense. This sounds like a nice abduction story.
it does.
Zapped up, they do their thing, they put you back. You don't remember any of it.
Right.
I mean, sure. Sounds wonderful.
Sounds like the perfect alien story.
I'm not a big alien guy, so...
Oh, you know me. I'm way into it.
Yes. With aliens, there's also the like time portal / glitch in the matrix. The glitch in the matrix is a cool concept. Like, I don't like the idea. I find it a fascinating idea. You know, are we a simulation of some bigger, higher power? Like the movie The Matrix? I mean, I don't think so, but it's an interesting thought.
It is.
And then it's like, oh, it glitched. Oh, 14 months.
I don't think so.
Is he a time traveler? Is he so smart? Figured out time travel?
Yes, he did. That is it. You figured it out.
He traveled at the speed of light, but for a really short amount of time, because he was only gone here for 14 months. And so the way that works, quantum mechanics or physics, I don't know. It would be gone for a very short amount of time.
That would be a really short amount of time, yeah.
So
maybe he was in the quantum realm.
like Ant-Man.
Yeah, like Ant-Man.
Oh.
Yeah, like he just turned into the push the button,
That would
standing in the middle of the lake. He Ant-Manned it, and then he didn't know how to get himself out of it.
That dang quantum realm.
And he was stuck in like Ant-Man land and then he finally just pushed the button or figured out how to get himself big again.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite theory actually.
You
so
like
far.
okay. Because Ant-Man is very believable.
Yeah, I mean definitely not the greatest of Marvel movies.
But I
Paul Rudd's cool though.
I actually love the movie because of the funny factor. Like
the first one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Is there more than one?
There's 3.
Oh. Well, the other ones have different names, like Ant and the Wasp or something.
And I've never seen the new one because I heard it was terrible.
I haven't either. I just mostly it's like kind of funny and kind of cutesy. And there's like, I don't know.
The first one was fine, yeah. It was good. I like when the Thomas the Train comes flying out the window like all giant sized.
I like a lot of the things. Anyway.
And Paul Rudd's good. Who doesn't love Paul Rudd?
Yeah, I mean, didn't know that was his name, but I guess I should.
Yeah, I guess Anthony doesn't love Paul Rudd.
I mean, I just don't know his name.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not really a stardom person.
The girl's Canadian.
What's her name?
The Wasp. I don't know. Same girl from Lost.
Yeah, I know.
Kate from Lost.
Kate, I know. I just didn't know she was Canadian. Did I? Maybe I knew it when she was watching Lost.
You Canadians know.
Well, we like have to know because we don't have very many famous people.
Actually, I feel like you have a much higher percentage than you should for your population.
Oh, maybe. I mean, maybe that is a true statement, but in general, still.
They're pretty cool, generally speaking.
Yeah, I mean, look at me.
Yeah. There's a lot of, especially in comedy.
There are actually. Mostly in comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Well, I mean, I guess you guys will have to figure out which theory you want to side with.
Yes, but quick side note. And this is a rumor that's supposed to be true that Steven Kubacki is currently writing a book
about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we might get more information.
The reveal.
The future. Yeah.
I would love that.
Well, I'll buy you a copy when it comes out.
Or audiobook.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's the hard part about me. I just am an audiobooker.
Yeah.
But I do love me Lots of audiobooks.
You go through them fast.
Do I?
I feel like it.
Oh. Yeah. I guess so.
I don't know. I'm more of a podcast guy.
Right. I like podcasts too, but a lot of times I'm proofreading series for my daughter.
That's true.
So I'm listening to them on like time and a half, and I'm
a terrible reader or listener of books,
Oh,
which is
really?
funny because I write books. So you would think I would be a kinder,
audience.
yeah, audience. My goodness, dude, you've got like 20 pages to convince me I should devote or invest my time in, or I'm out. And I finish maybe 10% of the books that I start reading or listening to.
Because you do things like plays, and you build random crap, and you, I mean,
write my own books, and I do
write
this
your own
podcast.
books, and you do, it's like
true.
Yeah.
But I'm just talking about listening to stuff. Like I listen to so many things all the time. Like I listen to a million podcasts.
But I think I'm kind of a half-in listener. Like I don't get as invested in the characters and like as submerged in the books as, for example, my sister or like some other people might if they're reading it. And I'm okay with it that way. I'm entertained. I think they're great. Some of them make me laugh out loud a little bit. Some of them make me sad. But I'm not like sitting there bawling. You know, like I'm not really in it because I'm doing so many other things at the same time.
Truth.
So maybe that's bad.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
think that's why I like podcasts.
Oh,
If
yeah.
I zone out for like 2 minutes, like, oh, whatever. I don't have to go back and...
Oh,
like, what are these
definitely I do
characters
find
doing now all
myself
of a sudden?
rewinding a lot.
Anyways. So if Steven Kubacki has a book,
Ooh.
we'll listen to it.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we'll find out.
if he audiobooks. If not, I will. That would be one I would have to want to read.
We'll go on vacation. That's the only time I read books. 'Cause we're
Oh,
sitting
I
on a
see. I
beach
was like, what is the
somewhere.
vacation? I get it. Yes.
I mean,
Without children. Because even if we vacation with children, it's like
That's
there's
not
no
vacation.
time. Yeah. There's just no time to still read a book.
Truth.
So,
well, that is today's strange one. It is interesting. I'm sorry, I don't have a good conclusion for you.
yeah, no, you don't. I knew it.
It's going to leave you bothered for a
There
while.
was no closure.
Next week's episode is going to be a very different style than anything we've ever done before.
Okay.
And then I've got to find another Disney story, because the one time we did a Disney story, it's still like by far the most listened to one we've ever done. And I think it's just because it said Disney in the title. I don't know
You
if that's
think so?
true.
I wonder if
By far.
I was so anticipating. I like needed to know what was happening next. I don't know if that's why people like they think it's funny because of the way I was like, this guy is just too much.
Well, he was too much, but even then, like, why people clicked on it more than other ones.
Oh, yeah. Oh, maybe just to click on it even. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. Anyway,
I'm just gonna
because
put
if
Disney
they
in every
click on
title
it,
from now on.
but they don't finish it, does it still considered like, are they still considered? Or do they have to actually complete it?
No, most of the stats are just on, like,
So even if they listen to a couple minutes.
right.
Okay.
YouTube
Interesting.
breaks it down, like, per minute, percent of the
Oh.
whole thing listened to, blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
Podcasts don't.
I wonder why it is so popular. I'd have to go back and listen to it again. Our kids literally love listening to it. And my son will sit in the hot tub and just blare it.
Everyone in the neighborhood listens to it.
Literally everyone in the neighborhood is listening. Even me through the walls of the house. I'm like, okay, I don't mind actually listening to our podcast. It doesn't, you know how sometimes you might be bothered by your own voice or like,
Yeah, I don't mind listening. I mean, you're a much better voice than I am.
I don't know
But-
what that means, but
I don't mind listening to the podcast. I actually enjoy listening to the
Yeah,
podcast.
it's
I don't
fun.
listen to it regularly, but like if we're in the car and the kids want to
oh
listen,
yeah, we
that's
like
fine.
enjoy listening
I
to
can't
it.
stand watching myself on stage.
Oh, or like, oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I would be like because
Or
I've
on
never really
film, I
put
would
myself
no
into
desire
those
to
positions.
See myself.
Probably because I wouldn't like it. But
But this thing's okay.
I remember I had to do like a grad fashion show
Ooh.
for all the grad dresses that were options that were out there. It was like a big thing. That was,
GC model.
well, I mean, a lot of the dresses is like just, anyway, I didn't know what I was auditioning for really when I auditioned
Yeah.
to get into it.
I struggle to talk, so this is challenging for me as far as
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I like words. I like writing. I'm good at that.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time articulating.
Do you?
Not articulating, but like physically speaking. Like it gets so jumbled and mumbled, and it gets. People tell me all the time, like, "Oh, you mumbled." It's like, well, not by choice. I promise. It's almost like a pathology. It's not a laziness. Like it's an actual
pathology. Interesting. Well, maybe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you sound really good. So.
Oh well. Either way,
it works out well.
I just get to re-listen to what I'm trying to say is I get to re-listen to myself often when he's out there. Not dumb. It's like, oh gosh, that was pretty funny, or oh goodness, I sound ridiculous, or I can't believe I said that. So anyways,
this one's long. Gotta get the heck out of here, man.
Yeah, we do. Okay, peace out.
Everyone, is this the last time before Christmas?
Yeah. Because this will be Christmas Eve next week.
Perfect. Well, everyone have a Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Please share it. Write a review. Like it. Do all those happy things. We would really appreciate it. We love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will be back next week.
See you later.
Bye.